Dr. Ilara Chen's fingers danced across the holographic interface, her eyes fixed on the cascade of data flooding her screen. The radio telescope array at Arecibo II had picked up something unprecedented, a signal so complex and structured that it could only be artificial in origin. Her heart raced as she initiated the verification protocols. "Dr. Roberts," she called out, her voice echoing through the control room. "I think you need to see this." The grizzled head of the SETI program ambled over, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the display. "Good Lord," he whispered, the color draining from his face. "It's real. After all these years." Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed the signal. Governments scrambled to convene emergency sessions, and the United Nations called for an unprecedented global summit. As dawn broke over New York City, world leaders gathered in a heavily guarded conference room, their faces etched with a mixture of awe and trepidation. UN Secretary General Ediran Kosi stood at the podium, her usually calm demeanor betraying a hint of strain. "Distinguished colleagues," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Today, we face a moment that will forever alter the course of human history. We are not alone in the universe, and our cosmic neighbors are reaching out." Screens around the room flickered to life, displaying the decrypted message that had sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Dr. Chen, now thrust into the global spotlight, took the stage to explain. "The message is a complex mathematical sequence," she said, her voice betraying a mix of excitement and fear. "But embedded within it is a clear warning. An empire known as the Zephyrians is coming. Their fleet will reach our solar system in approximately 18 months. A murmur of disbelief and panic rippled through the assembly. The Chinese premier, Lai Xuning, was the first to speak up. "Are their intentions hostile? Do we have any way to communicate with them?" Dr. Chen shook her head. "The message doesn't specify their intentions, but it strongly advises us to prepare our defenses. It also includes rudimentary instructions for faster-than-light communication. We're working on establishing a link now." The room erupted into chaos as leaders debated their options. Some called for immediate mobilization of military forces, while others advocated for peaceful preparation. In the midst of the uproar, the Russian president, Nikolai Volkov, cleared his throat. "Colleagues, please," he said, his deep voice cutting through the din. "We have a more pressing concern. How do we inform the public without causing global panic?" As the debate raged on, in a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Samantha Harper received a priority alert. Her weathered face hardened as she read the message, then turned to her second-in-command. "It's time," she said grimly. "Activate Project Phoenix." Across the globe, hidden installations hummed to life. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, enormous fabrication plants began to churn out advanced alloys. Beneath the Antarctic ice, fusion reactors spooled up to unheard-of levels. And in a hollowed-out asteroid orbiting Jupiter, a skeletal shipyard prepared to build humanity's first interstellar fleet. Project Phoenix, the ultimate insurance policy against cosmic threats, had been decades in the making. Born from reverse-engineered technology found in ancient ruins on Mars, it represented humanity's best-kept secret. And now, its last hope. Back in New York, the global summit had reached a fragile consensus. Secretary General Nkosi addressed the world's press, her face a mask of calm resolve. "People of Earth," she began, "today we stand at the dawn of a new era. We have received a message from the stars, confirming that we are not alone in the cosmos. In 18 months, we will make first contact with an advanced civilization known as the Zephyrians." She paused, allowing the gravity of her words to sink in. "While we do not know their exact intentions, we must be prepared for any eventuality. As of this moment, all nations of Earth are uniting in an unprecedented effort to advance our technology and bolster our defenses." What followed was a flurry of activity unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Military budgets swelled, and the greatest scientific minds were recruited into a global think tank, The space programs of various nations merged into a single entity, tasked with developing a unified orbital defense system. In laboratories and workshops around the world, researchers pored over the alien message, extracting every scrap of information they could. Quantum computers ran simulations day and night, testing weapon designs and defense strategies against imagined Zephyrian technologies. But even as humanity rallied, cracks began to show in the facade of unity. Fringe groups emerged, some welcoming the aliens as saviors, others decrying the impending arrival as a hoax designed to institute a new world order. Riots broke out in major cities, and governments struggled to maintain order while diverting resources to the global defense effort. Months passed, and the first fruits of Project Phoenix began to emerge. A prototype gravitic drive, test-fired in the Kuiper Belt, propelled an unmanned probe to Saturn in a matter of hours. Energy shields flickered to life around key installations, their honeycomb patterns visible from orbit. Yet for all their advancements, humanity knew they were in a race against time. The Zephyrian fleet drew ever closer, and Earth's defenders could only guess at the level of technology they would face. As the 18-month mark approached, Dr. Chen made a breakthrough in the communication efforts. In a secure facility in Geneva, she initiated the first faster-than-light transmission to the approaching Zephyrian fleet. The response came almost immediately, and as Dr. Chen translated the alien message, her blood ran cold. She turned to the assembled world leaders, her voice barely above a whisper. "They say they're coming to reclaim what's rightfully theirs. Earth isn't our world. It's their colony, and we're the descendants of their ancient slaves." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's fight for survival had just become a battle for their very identity, their right to exist as a free species. And as the Zephyrian fleet entered the outskirts of the solar system, the true test of Project Phoenix and of humanity's resolve was about to begin. The arrival. The Zephyrian mothership emerged from the swirling vortex of a wormhole, its massive form dwarfing Pluto as it passed. Behind it, a fleet of sleek, predatory vessels spread out in a formation that spoke of millennia of military precision. On Earth, every telescope and sensor array focused on the new arrivals, streaming data to the unified command center buried deep within the Alps. General Samantha Harper stood before a holographic display of the solar system, her face illuminated by the ominous red dots representing the Zephyrian fleet. "Time to intercept," she asked, her voice taut with tension. "At their current velocity, they'll reach Earth orbit in 6 hours," replied her AI assistant, its voice eerily calm. Harper nodded grimly. "Initiate Operation Firewall, and get me the Security Council." Across the globe, hidden defense platforms hummed to life. In low Earth orbit, swarms of microsatellites formed an invisible web, their quantum entanglement arrays ready to coordinate a planet-wide shield. Beneath the oceans, massive generators spooled up, ready to create an electromagnetic pulse that could fry any electronics not hardened to Project Phoenix specifications. As Earth's defenses readied themselves, the Zephyrian fleet came to a halt just beyond the orbit of Mars. A single shuttle detached from the mothership, streaking towards Earth at impossible speeds. The global defense network tracked its approach, weapons locked, but holding fire. In a gesture of both diplomacy and defiance, world leaders gathered on the neutral ground of the International Space Station, newly retrofitted with Project Phoenix technology. As the Zephyrian shuttle docked, breathless billions watched the live stream, waiting to see the face of humanity's long-lost masters. The airlock cycled, and 3 figures stepped through. They were undeniably alien. Tall, lithe forms with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to swirl with galaxies. The lead Zephyrian wore an ornate suit that pulsed with living circuitry. "I am High Commander Zaxxilian," the alien announced, its voice a melodic trill that the station's AI instantly translated. "We have come to reclaim our birthright." UN Secretary General Hadiran Nkosi stepped forward, her dark eyes meeting the alien's swirling gaze without flinching. I am Adiran Kosi, representing the United Nations of Earth. We received your message, but I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Earth is our home, not a colony to be reclaimed. Zaxxalian's facial tentacles rippled in what might have been amusement or disdain. You misunderstand, young one. This planet, and all who dwell upon it, are property of the Zephyrian Empire. Your existence is the result of an ancient experiment, long forgotten until our deep space probes detected your primitive transmissions. The human delegation bristled at the dismissive tone, but years of diplomatic training kept their reactions in check. It was Dr. Ilara Chen who spoke next, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. You claim we're descendants of your subjects, she said carefully. Can you provide evidence of this? And why return now after so long? The alien commander gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life between them. It showed scenes of ancient Earth, with early hominids working alongside Zephyrian overseers. Your species was engineered to survive the harsh conditions of this world, Zaxxalian explained. A labor force for resource extraction. But a cataclysm forced our evacuation, and in the chaos, this outpost was forgotten. As the implications sank in, tensions in the room rose palpably. The Russian president, Nikolai Volkov, his cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the alien, spoke up. And now that you've remembered us, what are your intentions? Zaxxalian's answer was chilling in its casualness. Full reintegration into the Empire. Of course. Your planet's resources will be harvested. Those of you with desirable genetic traits will be uplifted to serve. The rest will be repurposed. The room erupted into shouts of anger and disbelief. Secretary General Nkosi raised her hand for silence, her voice steel as she addressed the alien commander. That is unacceptable. We are a free, sovereign species. We will not submit to enslavement or genocide. For the first time, a flicker of surprise passed over Zaxxalian's alien features. You misunderstand your position. Resistance is not an option. The alternative to peaceful submission is unpleasant. As if to emphasize the point, alarms blared throughout the station. General Harper's voice came over the comms, tight with urgency. Multiple weapons locks from the Zephyrian fleet. They're targeting major cities. Nkosi's eyes narrowed. It seems, High Commander, that your idea of peaceful submission differs from ours. Know this, humanity will not bow. We have prepared for this day, and we will fight for our right to exist as free beings. Zaxxalian's tentacles writhed in obvious anger. So be it. You have one planetary rotation to reconsider. After that, we will begin cleansing procedures to pave the way for recolonization. With that, the Zephyrians turned and swept back to their shuttle. As soon as they undocked, the station's shields snapped into place, and burns from hidden thrusters sent it spiraling away from the alien vessel. In the chaos that followed, Earth's leaders scrambled to coordinate their response. The pretense of a unified front began to crack as age-old rivalries and suspicions resurfaced. Some nations advocated for an immediate attack, while others pleaded for more time to negotiate. In her command center, General Harper watched the bickering with growing frustration. "We don't have time for this," she muttered, then opened a secure channel to her hidden bases throughout the solar system. Initiate Phase 2 of Project Phoenix. Authorization Code. Lazarus Rising. Throughout the asteroid belt and the moons of Jupiter, massive hangar doors began to iris open. Ships of impossible design slid out of their berths, their hulls gleaming with the same iridescence as Zephyrian technology. In the skies above Earth, satellites reconfigured themselves into defense platforms bristling with weaponry that melded human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien tech. As the planet braced for war, a select few knew the truth. Project Phoenix wasn't just a defense program. It was a homecoming. And the Zephyrians were about to face an enemy they never expected, born from the very slaves they had abandoned months ago. The stage was set for a battle that would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of humanity's place in the cosmos. As tensions escalated and the clock ticked down, Both sides prepared for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. The betrayal. As Earth's deadline approached, the veneer of global unity began to crack under the immense pressure. In the sprawling metropolis of Neo-Tokyo, Director Akira Tanaka of the East Asian Confederation's Defense Force paced in his underground bunker, his cybernetically enhanced mind racing through probabilities. "The odds are insurmountable," he murmured to his AI assistant. Perhaps submission is the wisest course." Across the globe, similar thoughts festered in the minds of leaders and influential figures. The Zephyrians' technological superiority seemed absolute, their threat of annihilation all too real. In secret channels and encrypted communications, a plan began to take shape, a plan born of fear and a desperate bid for survival. As the hour of reckoning neared, UN Secretary-General Adira Nkosi stood before the emergency session of the General Assembly, her voice firm despite the weight on her shoulders. "We must stand united," she implored. "Our strength lies in our diversity, in the indomitable human spirit that has brought us this far." But even as she spoke, betrayal was brewing. In the midst of her speech, the chamber's secured doors hissed open. Director Tanaka strode in, flanked by a contingent of Zephyrian guards. Gasps and shouts of alarm rippled through the assembly. "This madness ends now," Tanaka announced, his voice amplified by hidden speakers. "I speak for a coalition of nations that choose survival over pointless resistance. We accept the Zephyrians' terms." Chaos erupted in the chamber. Accusations of treason flew as delegates lunged at Tanaka, only to be held back by the alien guard's energy fields. Nkosi's face was a mask of shock and fury. "You doom us all," she hissed at Tanaka. In orbit, the betrayal manifested in horrifying clarity. Key defense satellites suddenly went dark, their weapons turning on their former allies. The Zephyrian fleet, seizing the opportunity, began their advance on Earth. Deep in her mountain fastness, General Samantha Harper watched the unfolding catastrophe with a mixture of rage and grim determination. "So be it," she growled, keying in a series of complex commands. "Activate the Lazarus Protocol. All Phoenix units, deploy." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet burst into action. From the moons of Jupiter and the depths of the asteroid belt, ships of impossible design streaked towards Earth, their hulls shimmering with technology that melded human innovation with reverse-engineered Zephyrian tech. On the planet's surface, the betrayal sparked a powder keg of global conflict. Loyalist forces clashed with those who had sided with Tanaka's coalition. Major cities became battlegrounds as Earth tore itself apart, all while the Zephyrian fleet descended from above. In the heart of the Sahara, at a top-secret facility known only as the Cradle, Dr. Ilara Chen raced against time. Klaxons blared as enemy forces approached, the facility's outer defenses already breached. "We have to protect the core," she shouted to her team, her hands flying over holographic controls. "It's the key to everything." Deep beneath their feet, in a chamber bathed in ethereal blue light, a massive crystalline structure pulsed with unknowable energies. The core, the heart of Project Phoenix, and the source of humanity's quantum leap in technology, held secrets that could reshape the galaxy. As Zephyrian dropships landed outside the Cradle, a small team led by Major Zura Malik fought a desperate rearguard action. "Dr. Chen," Malik's voice crackled over the comms, punctuated by weapons fire. "We can't hold them much longer. You need to activate the failsafe." Chen's heart raced as she initiated the secret protocol. The core's chamber began to shift, the entire structure sinking deeper into the Earth as layers of shielding slammed into place. "Failsafe activated," she reported, "but we'll be trapped down here with it." "Not if I can help it," a new voice cut in. On their screens, a sleek vessel of obvious Phoenician design shimmered into view, its cloaking field dissipating. "This is Captain Aiden Cruz of the PSV Nighthawk. Prepare for emergency evac." As the Zephyrian forces breached the final defenses, Chen and her team raced for the extraction point. The Nighthawk's energy beams cut through the facility's roof, creating an escape route. Gravity lifts activated, pulling the humans to safety mere moments before the enemy burst into the chamber. From orbit, the battle for Earth looked like a deadly light show. Zephyrian cruisers exchanged fire with the newly revealed Phoenix fleet, their advanced weapons turning the night sky into day. On the surface, major cities glowed with the fires of conflict, while in remote areas, hidden defense installations revealed themselves, unleashing weaponry that challenged even Zephyrian supremacy. Aboard the Phoenix flagship, the PSV Horizon, General Harper coordinated the defense with the precision of a grandmaster. "Focus fire on their command ships," she ordered, "and get me a secure line to any loyalist forces still fighting on the ground." As the battle raged, Secretary General Nkosi, having narrowly escaped the chaos of the UN, found herself in a hardened bunker beneath Geneva. Her eyes widened as she took in the true scale of Project Phoenix displayed on the war room screens. "All this time," she breathed, "you were preparing for so much more than just defense." Harper's hologram nodded grimly. "This was always about more than repelling an invasion, Madam Secretary. The Zephyrians didn't just enslave our ancestors, they abandoned them. Project Phoenix was about reclaiming our heritage and our place among the stars." A young lieutenant burst into the war room, his face pale. "General, Secretary," he gasped, "we're detecting massive energy buildups in the Zephyrian fleet. They're preparing to glass the planet." Harper's hologram flickered as she processed the news. Her voice was steel when she spoke again. "It's time. Activate the Sophia Protocol." Across the globe, hidden transmitters roared to life, broadcasting a signal that made the very air vibrate. In orbit, Zephyrian ships began to falter, their systems going haywire. And deep within the Zephyrian mothership, something ancient stirred. Buried subroutines, hidden for millennia, began to awaken. The true nature of Project Phoenix and humanity's destined role in the cosmos was about to be revealed. As the fate of Earth hung in the balance, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see if humanity would rise from the ashes of betrayal and claim their cosmic legacy. The revelation. As the Sophia Protocol activated, a wave of quantum entanglement swept through the solar system. On board the Zephyrian mothership, High Commander Zaxxillian staggered as if struck by an invisible force. His eyes, once swirling with galactic patterns, now pulsed with an eerily familiar blue light, the same ethereal glow as the core deep beneath the Sahara. "Impossible," he gasped, his tentacles writhing in distress. Around him, the ship's organic interfaces flickered and warped, displaying ancient glyphs that hadn't been seen in millennia. Back on the PSV Horizon, Dr. Ilara Chen worked feverishly at a console, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. "The signal is working," she exclaimed. "It's activating dormant genes in the Zephyrian biology, genes that we share." General Harper's hologram nodded grimly. "Just as we suspected. The Zephyrians didn't create us. We have a common ancestor." And now, it's time they remembered. Across the battlefield, the tide began to turn. Zephyrian ships hung motionless in space, their crews locked in a mental struggle as ancient memories flooded their collective consciousness. On Earth's surface, the alien ground forces faltered, many dropping their weapons as they clutched their heads in confusion and pain. In the Geneva bunker, Secretary General Nkosi watched the unfolding events with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "What exactly is happening, General?" she demanded. Harper's hologram flickered as she prepared to reveal humanity's greatest secret. "Madam Secretary, what you're witnessing is the activation of the progenitor protocol." Eons ago, a highly advanced species known as the progenitors seeded life throughout the galaxy. Both humans and Zephyrians are their descendants. Chen picked up the explanation, her voice tight with excitement. "The Zephyrians evolved faster, achieved space flight earlier. They found Earth, recognized our potential, and accelerated our evolution. But a cosmic catastrophe forced them to abandon the experiment. Over time, they forgot their own origins and became conquerors instead of caretakers. Nkosi's eyes widened as the implications sank in. And Project Phoenix, a plan set in motion by a faction of progenitors who foresaw this conflict. Harper continued. They left behind the core, a repository of their knowledge and technology. For centuries, a secret society has worked to unlock its secrets, preparing humanity for this moment. As if to underscore her words, the earth shook. Across the globe, hidden installations began to rise from the depths of oceans, the hearts of mountains, and the sands of deserts. Massive structures of impossible architecture, pulsing with the same blue energy as the core, emerged to face the sky. In orbit, the Phoenix fleet began to transform. Ships merged and reconfigured, forming a vast lattice around the planet. Energy beams connected the orbital network to the ground-based structures, creating a planetary defense system beyond anything seen in the known galaxy. Aboard the Zephyrian mothership, High Commander Zaxxillian fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the flood of ancestral memories. We were wrong," he stammered, his voice broadcast across all channels. "Humans are not our slaves. They are our kin, our legacy." The revelation rippled through the Zephyrian fleet. Ships that had been poised to unleash planet-killing weaponry powered down. Across Earth, battles ground to a halt as the invading forces laid down their arms, many overcome with emotion as they recognized the humans as long-lost cousins. But not all embraced this new reality. A faction of Zephyrian hardliners, led by Sub-Commander Vexlor, refused to accept the truth. "This is a trick." Vexlor snarled over the comms. "The humans have corrupted our minds. We must complete our mission." A dozen Zephyrian destroyers broke formation, charging their weapons as they dove towards Earth. The Phoenix defense grid sprang to life, intercepting the attackers with precision strikes of exotic energy. The rogue ships exploded in spectacular fashion, their debris safely vaporized before it could threaten the planet. In the aftermath of the short-lived rebellion, an uneasy calm settled over the battlefield. High Commander Zaxxillian, still reeling from the genetic awakening, requested an immediate parley with Earth's leaders. Hours later, in a hastily prepared conference room aboard the International Space Station, representatives from both sides gathered. The atmosphere was tense, filled with millennia of misunderstanding and the fresh wounds of recent conflict. Secretary General Nkosi, flanked by General Harper and Dr. Chen, faced Zaxxillian across the table. The Zephyrian leader's once imperious demeanor was gone, replaced by a look of profound weariness and regret. On behalf of the Zephyrian people, Zaxxillian began, his voice heavy with emotion. "I extend our deepest apologies. We have committed a grave injustice, not only against humanity, but against our own heritage." Nkosi's response was measured, her voice firm but not unkind. "Apologies, while appreciated, are only the beginning. We have much to discuss about the future, not just of Earth, but of our shared destiny among the stars." As the negotiations began in earnest, Dr. Chen received an urgent message on her neural link. Her eyes widened as she processed the information. "General," she whispered, "the core. It's activating on its own. Something is emerging. Deep beneath the Sahara, in the heart of the cradle, the crystalline structure of the core pulsed with blinding intensity. Tendrils of energy reached out, coalescing into a holographic form that hadn't been seen in the galaxy for millions of years. The ghostly image of a progenitor, a being of pure energy and unimaginable intellect, materialized in the chamber. Its voice, speaking directly into the minds of all present, both human and Zephyrian, carried the weight of eons. "Children of the stars, the time has come. Your trial is complete. Together, you will face the true test that lies ahead." As the progenitor's message echoed across the solar system, humanity and their long-lost Zephyrian kin stood on the brink of a new era. The revelations of their shared past had opened the door to a future filled with both promise and peril. The galaxy, it seemed, held greater wonders and more terrible dangers than either race had imagined. and they would face them together, as the progenitors had always intended. The reckoning. The holographic image of the progenitor hovered above the core, its ethereal form pulsing with ancient power. In orbit and on Earth's surface, humans and Zephyrians alike stood transfixed, united in awe and trepidation at the being's words. Children of the stars. The progenitor continued, its voice resonating in the minds of all. Your reunion marks the beginning, not the end. A great darkness approaches, one that threatens not just your civilizations, but the very fabric of the cosmos. In the conference room of the International Space Station, Secretary General Nkosi and High Commander Zaxxlian exchanged glances, their recent enmity forgotten in the face of this new revelation. What is this darkness? Nkosi asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The progenitor's form shimmered, and a galactic map materialized around them. Vast swaths of stars blinked out, leaving an ever-expanding void. The Devourers, the ancient being intoned, a force born from the death of universes, consuming all in their path. We progenitors fought them eons ago, and in our final act, we seeded the galaxy with life. With you, in hopes that you would evolve to stand against them when they returned. Zaxxlian's tentacles writhed in distress. But we're not ready, he protested. Our civilizations have only just stopped fighting each other. A sound like cosmic laughter echoed through their minds. And yet, in your conflict, you have achieved what we could not. Look around you. As one, they turned their attention to the transformed solar system. The merged Phoenix-Zephyrian fleet hung in space, a testament to the potential of their combined technologies. On Earth, the progenitor installations hummed with power, ready to defend not just the planet, but to reach out across the stars. Together, the progenitor continued, you have unlocked potential beyond our wildest hopes. The trial of conflict was necessary. It forged you into something greater than either race could have become alone. Dr. Chen, her mind racing with the implications, spoke up. The core, the Phoenix Project. They were more than just defenses against the Zephyrians, weren't they? The holographic being nodded. They were the keys to unlocking your shared heritage, and the tools you will need for the battle to come. Suddenly, alarms blared across every ship and installation. Lieutenant Commander Chen, monitoring the long-range sensors, called out in panic, massive anomaly detected at the edge of the solar system. It's consuming Pluto. The galactic map zoomed in, showing a roiling mass of darkness engulfing the distant dwarf planet. Tendrils of void reached out, hungrily probing towards the inner planets. The Devourers approach, the progenitor announced, its voice tinged with urgency. Your time of preparation is over. Now you must stand together or fall into oblivion. With those final words, the ancient being's form dissolved, merging with the core. The crystalline structure pulsed once, twice, and then shot beams of energy to every progenitor installation and ship in the system. In the chaos that followed, old enmities were forgotten. Human and Zephyrian commanders worked in seamless concert, their minds linked by the awakened progenitor genes they shared. General Harper's voice cut through the din, broadcasted to every ship and bunker. This is what we've prepared for, people. Humanity and Zephyrians, together. For Earth, for the Empire, for life itself. We stand against the dark. The combined fleet moved into formation, their hulls gleaming with newly awakened progenitor tech. From Earth, massive energy beams lanced out, connecting with the ships and creating a vast, geodesic web of power that encased the entire solar system. As the Devourers approached, reality itself seemed to warp and twist. Ships at the vanguard of the defense fleet were torn apart, their atoms scattered to the cosmic winds. But for each vessel lost, the survivors adapted, their weapons becoming more effective against the ontological horror that assailed them. In the heart of the battle, the PSV Horizon and the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Dawn fought side by side. Captain Aiden Cruz of the Horizon called out to his counterpart, Zephyrian Commander Zura, focusing fire on the largest tendril. We need to drive it back. Zyra's response came instantly, her ship already maneuvering into position. Acknowledged, Captain. Charging our null-point cannon now. The two ships unleashed a combined blast that tore through the fabric of space-time, momentarily pushing back the encroaching darkness. But the victory was short-lived, as the void regrouped and pressed forward with renewed hunger. On Earth, Dr. Chen worked feverishly at the core's controls, interfacing directly with the ancient tech through her neural implants. We need more power, she shouted to her team. Reroute everything, we've got to the primary defense grid. Cities across the globe went dark as every ounce of energy was diverted to the war effort. The progenitor installations blazed with blinding light, their beams intensifying the strength of the fleet's attacks. For days, the battle raged across the solar system. Planets were scared, moons shattered, and the very laws of physics strained under the onslaught. But slowly, inexorably, the combined might of humanity and the Zephyrians began to turn the tide. In a final, desperate gambit, General Harper called for the activation of the Phoenix Protocol, a last-resort weapon developed from the deepest secrets of the core. All ships, fall back to Earth, she commanded. We've got one shot at this. As the fleet retreated, the progenitor installations across the planet began to pulse in unison. The core beneath the Sahara rose from its chamber, floating above the Earth's surface like a miniature sun. Now, Harper yelled. Dr. Chen, her body wreathed in coruscating energy, plunged her hands into the core. Reality lurched, and for a moment, every being in the solar system experienced the singular unity. Human, Zephyrian, and the echoes of long-dead progenitors all merged into one cosmic consciousness. A wave of pure creation burst forth from the Earth, sweeping through space like the dawn of a new universe. Where it touched the Devourers, they recoiled, their entropy-based existence unable to withstand the surge of nascent reality. When the light faded and sensors came back online, the solar system was transformed. The Devourers were gone, pushed back to the cosmic void from whence they came. But the victory had come at a great cost. Much of Earth lay in ruins, the Zephyrian fleet was decimated, and millions had given their lives in the conflict. In the aftermath, as the survivors emerged from their shelters and ships limped back to orbital docks, a new era dawned. Humanity and Zephyrians, their shared heritage now undeniable, began the long process of rebuilding, not as separate species, but as a united civilization. Secretary General Nkosi, standing amidst the rubble of what was once Geneva, addressed the weary but triumphant multitudes. Her words were broadcast across Earth and to every ship and colony in the solar system. Today we have faced our greatest challenge and emerged victorious. But our journey is far from over. The Devourers will return, and there are other worlds out there, cousins of our own, who must be found and united against the darkness. We are no longer merely humans or Zephyrians. We are the inheritors of the progenitor's legacy, the guardians of life in this galaxy. Our destiny lies among the stars, and together we will forge a future brighter than any sun. As cheers erupted across the planet and beyond, the first ships of the new united fleet began to take shape in orbital shipyards. The core, now permanently merged with Earth, pulsed with the promise of untold advancements. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged transformed. The crucible of conflict had forged them into something greater, and as they looked to the star-strewn sky, they did so not with fear, but with hope and determination. The reckoning had come, and they had prevailed. Whatever challenges awaited in the vast cosmic ocean, they would face them together. As one people, one civilization, bound by a shared past and united for a common future. The dawn of a new age had arrived, and the children of the progenitors were ready to take their place as the guardians of the galaxy.